15 laps, red lights go out and we are underway, and it's a solid start from the front row of the grid from Arakawa, but Andi Farid once again has made a decent move, and Andi Farid it is who will lead going down the hill for the very first time, but Arakawa has recovered from that poorish start and is right on his back tail.
Yeah, that was a good start from Andi Farid. I think Khalid and Powie came through quickly. I think that was a good start from him. We'll see when we get a closer look.
Spectator getting in the way of that fabulous camera shot. She'll be ushered out of the way by the time we come round next, but at the moment it is Andi Farid Idzihar, or Andi Gilang as he's popularly known, back in Indonesia. He's an experienced campaigner. They come down one of the many hills. He's got Arakawa behind him, Chip Nakarin, who got off to a half-decent start as well. He's in P3. Now then, Helmi Asman made a decent start. The bike number 32 in P4, although about to lose out to bike number 26, Maiki Abe.
Oh, and there's an engine gone.
An engine has gone. It's one of the TKKR. Is it just exhaust?
I don't think so.
It's not looking healthy.
And he's still on. He doesn't know about it.
I just hope he's not dropping oil on the track.
That's the concern.
It is the TKKR. He still doesn't know, does he? That exhaust is blowing, blowing, blowing.
Well, that's a worry. We need to get the mechanical flag out for him as Andi Farid and Kota make their way at the front. Little gap on Chip Nakarin. Abe a little bit further back than we'd like to see. Yeah, there's concern in the 1XOX garage.
Very much so, because it's still blowing and he still doesn't know.
Oh, that's Kito Abe.
It is Kito Abe, bike number 51, and he's going backwards as well.
Oh, this is difficult.
So Kito Abe,
he might be feeling just a slight loss of power, but he won't really know what's going on behind him.
We're just really concerned that because he's done 2 laps now, if he is dripping oil, there's no look of it at the moment, though. While we're looking at Abe, who's just about to be overtaken by 26 Maike Abe.
Helmi Asman's coming. He was fastest in.
Oh, that really is going now.
It's gone, yeah.
He still doesn't know.
The officials need to jump on this.
No flags out there. At the front, Andi Farid is still able to go, but we are fascinated by Maiki Abe and what damage, if any, he is doing, because he's actually taken a place back coming up through the chicane. Kito, yeah, Kito is being pulled in. There's the message for him.
Yeah.
And then at last the flags come out, and bike 51 is being called in. Can he see it? Arakawa in P2 at the moment. Just got to see what happens to Kito Abe. He's still carried on. I'm not sure he's seen those signs, Barry Russell.
I don't think he did. I don't think he saw it.
So for all the gesticulations, the black and orange flag is being waved, but Abe will not know that that's for him.
That's the other Abe right behind him.
Yes, now he knows. Now he knows. But that is 3 laps, and we just hope there's no oil left on the track. It doesn't seem to be.
Although you did see his rear tyre slide then, and then I think he twigged that was why the orange and black flag was being waved.
So the 1XOX TKR team, that's a difficult time for him, and the other Abe, Maiki Abe, he gets up a place, up into P7. All the while, we've been watching that Abe battle. Up front, Andi Farid Idzihar has just been leading Kota Arakawa. Arakawa at one stage was half a second down, but now he's got right back onto the back wheel of the Indonesian.
Yeah, we're used to it from Andi Farid, Andi Gilang. This is racing grit that we're seeing here. He may not be able to hold off Kota, but he will give it his best, absolutely best shot.
Arakawa, a wild card here, so in terms of the overall championship, it doesn't hurt too much if Arakawa takes the victory, but I tell you what, it like not to take the victory as Arakawa accelerates down, but Andi Farid tries to take the initiative, but there Arakawa just has too much power. Andi Farid, there is the back wheel, and there is the lean of Arakawa.
He blocked him. He was looking to switch back on the inside, but Kota was onto it.
And that's good news for the man in third place, Helmi Asman, bike number 32. Had such a tough time yesterday. The last thing he will have wanted was to see Andi Farid Idzihar disappear over the horizon. And now Helmi Asman can say, all right, now I've got a chance. P3 for Helmi Asman. Chip Nakarin in P4.
Yeah, Helmi lapping quicker than Kota.
131.6s consistently. Kota 131.2s. Here's his best lap, 131.9 last time out. Going very, very wide there was Chip Nakarin. He will lose a place there to Azroy Hakim. So it's the Bunchu Hondas in P3 and P4 now. And Chip Nakarin, who had a very, very good start and was competing for the lead in the first lap, is now down to P5 for Arakawa, as he did yesterday. He won by 4.5 seconds yesterday, Barry. And once he gets in front, you do fear that Andi Farid won't be able to live with him.
Yeah, you're just going to see some more Indonesian grit and see what he can do about it. He hasn't given up by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm impressed with the way Helmi has come back from his setback yesterday.
Kota has just blasted a 130.8 lap. That's the fastest so far. That's Andi is desperately trying to keep on his tail. Great camera on board.
I don't think Helmi's got the pace to catch up these two, but he does seem to be getting a little bit of an advantage on teammate Azroy and Chip Nakarin behind him.
In terms of the overall championship standings, Ibrahim Noureddin was P3 in the championship standings, but he had a crash in qualifying yesterday. Wasn't allowed to compete yesterday, wasn't allowed to compete today. It's a concussion problem, and much as he'd like to compete, the doctors have said no can do. So Ibrahim Noureddin will not pick up any points from this weekend. Chip Nakarin picked up P4 yesterday. At the moment he's in P5. So Helmi Asman has got a bit of work to do to maintain his lead up at the top of the standings.
Yeah, Kota best lap to him, not surprisingly.
Inside 131, the only one doing that.
And nobody else has got the pace, and Andi Farid is clearly quicker than everybody else, including Helmi, who's gamely chasing. He can't get away from his teammate there, Azroy.
Coming to the end of lap number 5 for the Bunchu Hondas. There's a personal pride at stake for Helmi. Well, holding on to P3 would be a decent return for him, but as you can see, Azroy Hakim followed him up the hill, and Azroy Hakim is not going to follow any team orders here. This is back up at the front. We are on board with Andi Farid Izdihar in P2, but Kota Arakawa seems to just be pulling away. What's the differential? It's only 0.2 of a second at the moment, but visually it just seems though Arakawa is being able to accelerate away from Andi Farid.
Yeah, Andi can't quite get close enough to bother him, but Azroy is getting close enough to bother Helmi. Further down the field, there's a civil war in Thailand going on between Mukladar and Ratapong. Mukladar's got the upper hand of that for now, as we come back to Helmi and Azroy.
This is a battle of Malaysia, a battle of Bunchu Honda, who for so long in Supersport 600 were the pre-eminent team. And Azroy Hakim goes through into P3. That will not please Helmi. That will cost Helmi potentially difficult championship points. So Azroy Hakim, bike number 20, goes in ahead of bike number 32, Helmi Asman. Up at the front, Arakawa visually is just getting further and further ahead on the same corner, but a good drive out from Kota Arakawa. Tries us to use every millimetre of the track, does Andi Farid Izdihar. He's just having to use all the knowledge he earned on the world scene. But going through at the end of lap number 6, the differential is 0.3 of a second.
Great quality from both these riders, you have to say. Kota does look so relaxed, a little bit reminiscent perhaps of Haruki Noguchi, who we'll be seeing not too long.
That's still to come in the 1000 cc's. Hint of a mistake there. That might allow Andi just to get back onto the wheel. Andi Farid just needs to keep some pressure on Kota Arakawa. He certainly can't afford to let the Motoboom Honda team racer get too far away. Chip Nakarin in P5 in splendid isolation behind the two Boonshu Hondas. Chip Nakarin on the Honda Racing Thailand, riding the CBR 600 RR.
And Andi closer at this stage in the race than he was yesterday.
Yeah. It is more of a race than yesterday. It was a procession, but no, just look at that. Visually, I'm wincing every time because you're looking for a really good contested race. And Andi Farid is just having to work his utmost just to stay close onto the back wheel of Arakawa.
Yeah, he can get close through the chicane. It's two very well prepared Hondas there. Nothing between them as they go up the hill.
Last lap a 130.7, this lap a 130.9. So lapping very, very quickly, and to Andi Farid's credit, he's just lapped a 130.8, so he is keeping pace.
Yeah, that's a really good job of harassment. Needs to keep it up.
Harassment, quite right. Good use of the word, I like it. It's not our given word of the day, but harassment gets a vote from me. And Arakawa leads the way. Andi Farid in P2. The Malaysian battle is in the one for P3, where Azri Hakim leads Helmi. Then you've got Nakarin from Thailand in P5. Galang Hendra ahead of Abe for P6. Irfan ahead of Muklada and Ratapong for P8. Caroline Dempawi struggling in P11.
Yeah, it looks like Muklada's got the better of Ratapong. Interesting. Caroline Dempawi still not able to put a good race together here.
Yeah, that's bike number 89, P11 at the moment. We're just focusing on the lead at the front though. And again, it looks like Arakawa's getting away, and then Andi Farid's able to pull something back. It was 0.2 of a second. It's been regularly 0.2, 0.3 of a second at the end of each lap, but there's never been any real hint that Andi Farid's close enough to get to overtake Kota Arakawa.
A little bit longer here. This is probably about 0.4, maybe.
0.388, not bad. Just 100th of a second out. Work on your maths, please, Mr. Barry Russell.
I'm sorry.
Further down, these are the battles for the lower places. Ratapong and Muklada.
And Galang and Maiki
Abe. So Galang Hendra's got himself of Abe. Galang's got himself up to P6. For Yamaha Racing Indonesia, he's not really been at the top in the Supersport 600, but we know Galang Hendra's got real ability, real talent. In 250s a few years ago, he was had a terrific season.
Absolutely, he did, and well, he's getting to grips with these 600s now. He's in good company now, by which I'm referring in part, at least, to Maiki Abe's uncle. I'm just trying to read what that meant.
Behind them, you can see Muklada Sarapek in the all-red, bike number 44. She's riding on the All Japan circuit so far. And she is just coming into vision. Never. Because there she is. There's Muklada. Thank you, Mr. Director.
Yeah, she's really on it, isn't she? And her team manager, who I spoke to a few days ago, he's really happy with her progress. Impressed, and it's good to see her on the 600s and establishing herself on the 600s.
A little bit further down, chance to see if Caroline Dempawi is able to make any kind of manoeuvre as they come up the hill. That's the battle for P3. Helmi Asman in P4 at the moment. Chip Nakarin in 5. 6 is Galang Hendra ahead of Abe and Muklada bike 44. Then you've got Ratapong and Irfan Ardiansa in the easy-to-pick-out pink helmet. After Irfan, you've got Carol Idampawi as Ratapong Willerot goes through. Ratapong, he must be so frustrated to be in the middle of the pack. And there is Carol Idampawi, Kip as they call him. This is a good little battle, this one, between Abe and Galang Hendra.
Yeah, and Muklada's about to join them, I predict.
Yes, she's not too far away, is she?
Yeah, it's pretty close there. She has gapped Ratapong. I'm not sure if he's got the pace to follow her up to that little group.
Some big names here, Muklada and Ratapong on the Brick Championship. As the fog hits, I tell you what, this weather is so changeable. It's fog at the moment, which doesn't necessarily mean rain, but it could mean a problem. As Irfan Ardianta goes inside Karel Idampawi. That will terrify the superbike racers who are coming up next.
Yes, they'll be taking a good look at that. They will have forgotten about the 600 race. That happened to me once at Brands Hatch, fog down.
Yes, okay, so up at the front, Arakawa has got himself a lead again. It's only 0.275. Andi Farid he's doing a fine job on sticking close-ish. You can see how hard he's having to work, though. He's really, really working that bike. He's right down low. Trusting those tyres. It's amazing how much they trust the tyres, but the Dunlop tyres, the guys down below us in the commentary area, they're working hard.
Well, there was a good question asked by Pauline there on the grid. She asked him about the change from Bridgestone to Dunlop tyres, which do have very different characteristics. And he seemed pretty urbane about it, but Andi Farid, of course, is used to them. We're in the stage of the race now where that might make the difference.
Wow, look at that. Andi Farid has got on the inside of Kota Arakawa. Who would have thunk that? Andi Farid is now the new race leader. 10 laps to go, 2/3 of the way through the race. Now, is that because he's been able to look after his tyres, and maybe Kota Arakawa, because he's been under pressure, has been wearing them?
That was what my little story was about just then, Des.
Indeed.
It was very polite of him.
Indeed. Superbly timed. So, Andi Farid Idzihar, for the first time, as he comes up the hill, will lead. Regularly he's been 0.3, 0.4, 0.2 down. This time he's going to be leading by what, Barry Russell? Let's test your maths again.
By 0.15.
0.27
miles out.
A full 10th out. But Andi Farid Idzihar for Astra Honda Racing is leading the way. Behind them, Azri Hakim is giving Helmi Asman no love.
Oh, sorry, Des. Well, will be...
This the battle for P6, sorry. Galang Hendra leading Arbe, and you called it right. McLeod Sarapek has pulled in, and she might not get a podium, but she might get double-digit points for a P6 here, because she's really putting the pressure on the back of both Arbe and Galang Hendra.
Yeah, good work from Muqtada, and what I was about to speculate on was after going through this first technical section of the track, whether Andi might be able to open up a bit more of a gap. That looks a bit healthier. That's about 0.3, Des.
That's about 0.3. We will test you for quiz later. Barry Russell with the mathematical calculations, but Andi Farid Idzihar, well, with the racecraft at the moment, and he's got to make the calculation of how much to gamble against Kota Arakawa.
Arakawa's going to try to slingshot out of here and get back past him. Get a toe from Andi Farid. And he was quick out of the chicane, though.
He does. He's done that pretty well, Andi Farid Idzihar. He's got himself again in P1. The lead was 2.7 or 0.27 last time. It's slightly tighter, but not so as you'd really notice. But it'd like to be 1.187 ahead in 3 laps' time. There's a lot of work for him to do between now and then, though.
Yeah, let's watch them through these turns. See if we can have some idea of whether tyres are a factor, or to what extent they're a factor.
They are slowing down a little bit. 1:31.2 was the last lap for Andi Farid. When the tyres were absolutely up there optimum, they were down to the mid-130s, so a full 0.7 of a second better.
I don't think this is tyre management. I think this is more about racecraft and grit from Andi Farid.
Oh, you used the word grit very, very early on. That's not the word of the day either. But Andi Farid is holding on. Just takes a nice line through. I suppose what he's got to do is he's got to get Kota Arakawa to make a gamble.
Yeah, Kota thinks he deserves this, and look at this.
McLeod up to P6, and then loses it to P7. Just went a little bit wide. Arbe able to pick that one back up again.
She hasn't finished.
Back up at the front. It'll be 2 laps to go once they get up to the top of the hill. As they race up the hill, it's a fabulous ending to this lap, this 3.62 kilometer lap at Sugo. But the power is there for Andi Farid, and he holds on to that lead. It's 0.2 of a second still. Azri Hakim holding on to P3. He's not really focused on that one because this is so scintillating in itself, but Azri Hakim and Helmi Azman in P3 are having a good old battle. Nakarin will finish 5, but Maglada and Arbe are having a good old battle themselves.
Our fancies top 6 finish, that's for sure. This man, Andi Farid, fancies the win. Break up the symmetry of Arakawa's weekend.
But I think Arakawa fancies the win as well.
Oh, he does, he expects it.
Did Andi Farid show his hand a little bit too early? Arakawa looks on the inside, but Andi Farid closes that gate very successfully. Nice and tight, like on rail tracks, and low down, scraping the surface.
Yeah, he can afford to be defensive because it's so far back to Azroy.
Well, they're getting, they're looking to lap somebody.
And there he goes.
Kondanai is a long way back. Arakawa!
What a clever move that was.
Wow, on the chicane.
Brilliant work by Kota.
And now Andi Farid has got it all to do because we are coming into the final lap. He accelerates and gets a toe up the hill and takes the inside line. We have got and Andi Farid pushes too much. And Kota Arakawa will be able just to sail home for the victory. It was brilliant from Andi Farid, but he just pushed too much and slid off having made the manoeuvre.
So that puts Azroy up,
Azroy up into P2, Helmi Azman up into P3, but it's now a victory lap for Kota Arakawa. Is he go? Oh, that's not going to get back on either.
Yeah, that's toasted.
Desperately trying to get back on.
So here he goes. He's trying to get inside and hold it, but he can't. And I tell you what, Des is very lucky that he didn't take out Arakawa at the same time. That really was lucky.
Slid off
for Andi Farid.
Yeah.
He gave it everything.
But Arakawa, he just put the pressure on that overtaking maneuver at the chicane. He was under real pressure 1 lap ago. This time he can enjoy it. It's a double win. It's a maximum 50 points as a wild card for Kota Arakawa from Motobum Honda, and he will take this by a country mile and enjoys the double win. Behind them, Andi Farid will not come in P number 2. He slid out. We're looking, coming over the hill in P2 will be Azroy Hakim, and he's got in there ahead of Helmi Azman. It was tight between the two Malaysians. But Bunchu Honda celebrate a 2-3. Helmi Azman 16 points, and Helmi will increase his lead over Andi Farid at the top of the championship standings.
Great, that really did hand it to Helmi Azman. Helmi rode a good race. He wasn't on Andy's pace, but he stayed there, and when Andi gave it a bit too much, he was there to pick up the pieces. Very good for the championship. And Muqtada did indeed get into the top 5. She finished behind her compatriot and sometime teammate Macarena Tirapuvapat. Muqtada finished